Would like to call this meeting to order, and the first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our July 16th meeting. And looking for a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Second, got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All righty, all in favor? All right, motion carries. We have 5 public hearings for tonight. And I just want to say that we'll get through this in as quick and orderly fashion as possible. Everybody here who wants to speak will be afforded the opportunity to do so. And we do want to keep it civil, so that's all I have to say about that. Anybody that gets out of line will be asked to leave. And I will turn this over to Michaela so she can open up Grace Community Baptist Church.
Yeah, so the first item on the agenda, Grace Community Baptist Church has applied to revise the conditional use permit granted June 20th, 2023 on 7.02 acres of land located at 4680 Lexington Road in Boyle County. They've actually chosen to withdraw this application. They were asking to get a delay on the paving. They were asking to get a delay on the paving for a portion of their parking area, and they've actually gone ahead and paved it. So they're no longer needing the revised CUP.
All righty. Well, that made that one easy. Item B, Riley Henshaw has applied for a variance.
Yep. Riley Henshaw has applied for a variance to reduce the 50-foot front yard setback to 6 feet on the 0.725 acre property located at 385 Mansfield Road in Boyle County. The property is zoned agricultural AG. So, sorry, this is a little bit hard to see with the ag district, but here's the property that we're discussing here, 385 Mansfield Road. This is Mansfield Road here. This is the existing single-family structure. They are proposing to put a structure here, outbuilding, garage, storage, that type of thing. This kind of gives you a view what they're proposing, a 30 by 40 structure, and they're going to be tearing out that existing shed there. Yeah, Preston, sorry. Yep, that's my understanding, is that they're proposing to take that down. So really the reason for the variance, I think it's easier if you look at it on this lot here. It's obviously a pretty shallow lot. I think I measured it around 100 feet. We require a 50-foot setback, so that gives them about, with the rear yard setback, it doesn't give them a lot of space to work with as far as buildable area on the lot, just with the way this is shaped, as well as there are some topographical challenges in the rear, as well as the septic that's located on the property. So just between all of the, all of the limited space that you're looking at on this property, that's what's brought them before the board. So their proposal for where the structure is going to go is going to be in line with where the existing home is. So they're not asking to encroach more than what the existing home is. It's just going to be across the drive. Are there any questions for me on that one?
Was the existing home grandfathered, or was it built on a variance?
I didn't see any variances for this lot, so my guess is it's grandfathered, but I'm not sure when it was built.
Okay.
The applicant might be able to answer that.
74, I believe, right. When it was built.
So 74.
Any concerns from staff?
No, I don't have any concerns. I think with the shape of this lot, it's undersized as well at 0.7 acres rather than the 1.15 that we typically require for the ag zone. I do think they have justification based on where the existing home is, based on the depth of the lot, and, the actual buildable area that's available on the lot. Yeah, Preston?
Pretty steep back there.
Yep.
Just north of where that shed's at, goes straight up.
Yeah.
And it's a dead-end street?
Yes.
Any issues with ingress egress with that being built so close to the road?
I wouldn't think so. You know, it's good. The 6 foot off is really just because of where the right of way ends. It's not actually off the pavement. I think it's closer to. Sorry, I don't have that email in front of me. Is it 12 or 15 feet off the pavement? Do you recall?
From the edge of the road, we'd be about 25 feet to where we start that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And how big is the existing?
How big is it?
Yeah.
That is like a 10 by 18. And then it had like a lean-to next to it as well.
Oh, coming off the back?
Yep.
I'm just going to repeat that so we can go on the record. A 10 by 18 existing structure there, and it's going to be 25 feet off edge of pavement.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yes.
Any questions from anybody?
I'll move approval.
All right. Got a motion to approve from Jim. Anybody second that?
I'll second.
Gonna have to do a throwdown, see who gets it. We'll give it to Willie.
Mr. Chair, if I could jump in and just restate Michaela's
Words fit that,
rationale,
sir, to your heart's desire.
which is that where they're tearing down and rebuilding on the same spot, there's no adverse effect to the neighbors. It's an existing lot of record in the clerk's office, and its unusual shallowness reduces the buildable area. All of this justifies the variance.
Sure, that's exactly what Jim was thinking. Yep.
Yes,
All right.
that would be that.
Any further discussion then on the motion? All in favor? All right. Motion carries. Thank you all. Craig Sutton, as an agent for Ephraim McDowell, has applied for a variance.
Craig Sutton, as agent for Ephraim McDowell Health, has applied for a variance to reduce the 35-foot front yard setback per plat to 26 foot on the 0.603 acre parcel known as 105 Ponder Court, Danville. The property is zoned Highway Business HB. So this is the lot here, and this is Ponder Court and Whirlaway Drive. This is the existing structure. Back when this was platted and built, our setback requirements were 35 foot. So the structure is built right up to that 35-foot required setback. Now they are, I think, yep. I'm gonna put in. Now they're looking to add an addition to the existing structure there that would encroach 9 feet upon that required setback per plat. It's really just to build a covered entry area for people that are coming in and out or people that have to wait before they get actually into the building. That's my understanding of their intention with that, but I can let the applicant speak on that more. And here's just a drawing of what they're looking at. So a 9 by 17 kind of covered structure area. As far as the lot, you know, I'm not sure if there's any unusual circumstances on the lot. It seems like everything out there was probably built around the same time with that 35-foot front yard setback. But again, it would be meeting our setbacks as of now, the 25-foot, but they are held to the platted standard. So are there any questions for me on this? Okay.
Would the applicant like to get up and talk to any about this?
Yes, please. Thank you, Craig.
Yes, as Michaela mentioned, our intent is to put a covered driveway for patient drop-off. And the second half of that she did not mention is to give proper handicap accessibility to that clinic. Right now, it has, it's not an automatic door and it does not allow for proper handicap accessibility. Although it was grandfathered in. And the other extenuating factor of why we had this request is the grade also slopes down from the road, and there's some steps that come into the existing doorway. So other than making this addition, that's the only feasible way we could get everything up to compliance. as far as that goes. That we could come up with anyways.
Any questions from anybody? Thanks, sir.
All right, thanks.
Didn't ask on the last one, but if there's anybody here to speak against this variance? All righty. Any questions for you guys? Entertain an offer to approve or deny this?
Motion approved.
Thank you, Willie. Second by Mike. Any further discussion before Henry wordsmiths this motion?
Let me wordsmith, and then maybe there'll be discussion. The prior effective regulations make for more stringent setbacks. This property will meet the current setbacks. It's a corner lot, which also reduces the buildable area, and there will be no adverse effects from the granting of this variance.
You confer with that then, Willie? All righty, Mike? All right. Next time, I know, yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All righty, motion carries. Next item. Will and Leanna Denham have applied for a variance.
Yep, Will and Leanna Denham have applied for a variance to reduce the 35-foot front yard setback per plat to 15-foot on the east side of the 0.523 acre parcel known as 603 Kerrigan Drive, Danville. The property is zoned two-family residential RM2. So this is the property here. Sorry, I know this is kind of hard to see, but this is the property here. This is Kerrigan Drive, and then this is Ruston Hill Road. So as you can see, the property is zoned RM2. It's across from some R1A single-family residential zone district. Here's the applicant's proposal. So this is the existing home that you could see on the aerial view, and this is where they're proposing the garage with the proposed driveway coming off of this Ruston Hill Road here. So per plat, they are required to have a 35-foot front yard setback. Again, our current standards is 25-foot off this. They are proposing to be 15-foot from the property line, so that's why they're seeking the variance. As far as the property conditions are concerned, this is a larger lot than what you typically see in the RM2 district, primarily because it's a corner lot, but also because it's got this water feature that runs through it. So you can kind of see that there. So they've got a sewer line that runs through, but also just they've got this water feature that runs through that kind of splits their property when you look at, the platted area here. So it does somewhat limit their buildable area on the lot. This is a proposed floor plan of the garage that the applicant is showing. Based on the size that he's showing here of 1,306 feet, he would need to reduce the proposal by 13.04 square feet to meet our requirements of not exceeding 75% of the ground floor area of the primary structure, and the applicant has agreed to do so. So it's not shown here, but if the variance is approved, the applicant has agreed he's not seeking any additional variances for exceeding the 75% floor area. And that's all I had on this one. Is there any questions for me on that? Yeah, well, the board first, yeah.
Hang on, William.
I guess I can quickly add, I did throw the required findings for variance up here. I thought this would be a good time just to quickly go over them, because I know there's going to probably be more questions on this application. But, when you're looking at a variance application, like we just looked at the last two, you're typically looking to see if variances arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to land in the general vicinity or the same zone, or the strict application of the provisions of the regulations would deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land or would create an unnecessary hardship on the applicant. C is really not going to probably be applicable in this case, so A or B is really what the board's considering when we're looking at this variance. All right,
The applicant like to get up and say a few words? Just state name and that your testimony is truthful.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Will Denham. I am the resident at 603 Kerrigan Drive. I've lived there for basically my entire life and own the property now. As shown in the presentation, we're looking to build a secondary structure there that'll be a personal use garage. I am a car enthusiast. I do own multiple vehicles, and I want to get them out of my driveway. That's the only reason why I want this structure. And to be very clear, we're looking to adhere to all ordinances and laws and requirements with building this. We only need to move it to get it away from the creek and that sewer. I did have this zoned from Vantage Engineering, and while there is no required setback or, easement around that sanitary sewer, I want to remain at least 8 to 10 feet away from that at all portions of this building to make sure I'm not interfering with that. We're also 15 feet away from an electrical line that runs almost adjacent to the property. And then finally, from the roadway there, it would actually be 31 feet back to the building itself, from pavement to the building.
From Kerrigan or from the?
So that's the side street. It is considered Ruston Hill. But I actually don't have the dimensions back from Kerrigan, but I'm pretty sure that would be 45, 50 feet away.
Okay.
As mentioned, Michaela, could you bring up that photo from Google Maps? So another part of this too, so I intend to use Collins Construction, the one.
oh,
little further.
sorry,
Yeah,
this
you're,
one.
yes, please, thank you. So I did look around our neighborhood, and on Cloverdale, there's a family at 407 Cloverdale that has got an exterior garage built there as a secondary structure. I approached this family and asked them who they had do this work. Collins Construction out of Harrodsburg. That's who I have went through and got a quote from. Very specifically, I want to maintain the character and the overall look of our neighborhood. I'm a lifelong resident. I don't want to break anything. I don't want to mess anything up that's a good thing already. And I want to keep our neighborhood looking cohesively together as it already does. And again, I think I heard that mentioned too. We do realize 75% is the requirement for all secondary structures. I'm willing to make adjustments and changes to our plan there. They had originally used some very round numbers when we were doing the kind of just seeing what the land had there. So we'll make sure it meets all requirements that are set forth. And I guess lastly, so I am not a mechanic. I know some things have came up about the business use at this property over the last couple weeks. I'm a information technology director at United Health Group. I've never done mechanic work, and it would be an insult to a mechanic to call me a mechanic. I do own a few cars, and I want to put them inside, get them out of my driveway, and keep them away from the elements, but also just make the neighborhood look better by having them stored away.
Any questions for the applicant?
Looking at one of the sketches, it looked like you have an existing gravel driveway near the house.
So it is asphalt near the house already.
Do you intend to maintain that driveway?
Yes, sir. We actually want both the building, this new proposed garage, as well as our main house to have a very cohesive look. The house has white siding on it with some blue shutters. We want to do white and blue with the garage, make it look exactly like it belongs there on the property.
Any other questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else here to talk in support of the applicant? Anybody here to talk in opposition to the applicant? Please come forward, state your name, and that your testimony is truthful.
Okay. My name is William Leachman. I live on Cloverdale Street, adjacent to this property, catty corner from it. And me and other neighbors are against this. The perimeter of this garage, I know that you've already talked about the 75%, and the owner says that he's going to reduce the size of it, that it was no problem for him to do that. But, the size, actually, the size of this existing plant is larger than my house. And also, how can neighbors, this is a quote, how can neighbors believe it's not for business? I know he says it's not. When they see this gentleman working on cars in his yard, he has vehicles, it's like he's always working on these vehicles. I personally have seen 8 cars parked on this gentleman's property, including the front yard. And so I don't know how up to 8 cars. There's times that when we see this. And you've already covered the fact that, it's larger than the 75% that's allowed. And the plat requirement, as it says here, is 35 feet, but then it was changed to 25 feet from the property line, the setback. And he's asking for 15 feet, but that is really close to this side street. And if he has cars there, I wouldn't say all the time, but I know that for a fact that there's always 4 cars parked in his driveway. Not parked in the driveway itself, but he has like 3 on the one side, and then another one he has parked in front of the garage. And I think he has 2 vehicles inside of his garage. Because you go by, the door is open, and you can see inside of it, and I could see that he had a vehicle in there. And also, he belongs to the, Stanford Wilderness Road Car Cruise-In. Obviously, it's a car club of some sort. And, so periodically, we do see cars there, and whatever he's planning on doing with the garage, he says to park his cars in there. But we have seen him working on, vehicles, whether they're his own or what, I can't say for sure. But we only feel that this will continue after he builds this garage. And, but whatever else he's planning on doing there, some of us in the neighborhood, I know that Jack Carey had sent an email, I don't know if it was to your department or one of the other departments, indicating that he was totally against it, he and his sister Donna Carey. They're against it, we're against it. A friend of mine, Daniel Norvell, is against it because of the situation. They're going to build this big garage there, and we personally do not want it. We just feel like it will be a nuisance to our neighborhood.
Any questions for him?
So is your issue the appearance?
Not necessarily the appearance only, but it's also the size of it and the location of it. The location of it and the idea that he's going to have more cars than what he's indicating is going to be there. Because we have seen up to 8. He parked in the front yard, even parked in the front yard, 2 cars.
That's why I was asking, was the appearance the issue? Because I'm sitting here thinking if I didn't want the garage there, I would rather for a garage be there, working in the garage, and to have 8 cars sitting out in public. I mean, that's just the way I was looking at it. That's just why I asked you was the appearance.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, we're against the idea of these cars being there quite frequently. I'm not saying all the time, but frequently. And they're even parked right now in his front yard. So I guess what's going to happen, they'll be parked in that lot that they're talking about here.
Go ahead, Willie.
With all due respect, have you ever had visitors at your home?
Yes,
Is he allowed to have visitors at his home?
Yes.
Maybe visitors visit
yes.
that are there, if they aren't there permanently. Number one. Number two, if this building, or this structure was going to be within the required setbacks, this wouldn't even be a conversation. Simply
This wouldn't be a what?
We wouldn't even be having this meeting with you
Oh,
if this
yeah,
building
right,
would fit
if it's
within
at
the required
35 feet.
setbacks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But he has a lot that won't allow him to do such. and he is maintaining integrity by building it exactly like his home with the aesthetic appearance, not to mention keeping a close mind of the sewer that's running through there. So I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't really see a whole lot of trouble with it.
We don't know what he's going to build it with. We don't know if it's going to be just a steel building or like his house or what. He never indicated that.
Well, I think it goes back to like, no disrespect, but I mean, if it's his building, he can do, you don't know what he's doing in his house either.
No, right, no, we don't.
He's made his plan abundantly clear right here in front of the whole board.
If, I guess if it becomes an issue where he's actually doing work on other people's vehicles, it would be a violation.
Of the zoning, right?
Yeah. Yep. He legally wouldn't be able to do any work there without a conditional use permit, and he'd have to come back before this board for that to happen,
Okay,
for hire work.
all right. And is it of any interest whatsoever as to how high he makes it, whether it's 1 floor, 2 floor? Does that matter?
It
No,
just couldn't
of course.
exceed 42 feet,
In height?
yeah,
Oh.
per our requirements.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, 1 second, let me just check something here. All right. My other question is this: why, if the ordinance, if the variance is 35 feet, why would you let him go all the way down to 15 feet? Why would you do that?
I think because of the natural feature of the land, with the creek running through there.
Right,
Yeah,
but that is,
yeah.
I'm sorry, what? True. Oh, so that has nothing to do with the street or nothing else? I mean,
No.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, William. Anybody else here to speak in opposition?
Yeah, she wants to speak for.
I'll give you just a chance just in a second here.
My name is Dan Norvell. My wife and I live on the northern edge of Mr. Denham's property. We've been there for 17 years. We retired here 17 years ago, thinking it was going to be a nice, quiet community, and it has been that to date. But I'm sad to announce that Mr. Denham is probably violating currently at least 2 city ordinances, and I don't know if this is the city attorney here, but you should know that. The first ordinance he's violating is he's running a business out of 603 Kerrigan Drive. Now, what is the business? The business is repairing and restoring old cars. Now, he must be making money off of it, or I'm sure he wouldn't do it. He's either restoring them, he's buying and selling them, but he's making money. He's either running a used car lot or car repair. Now, if you don't believe me, ask Ryan Jackson, who lives behind him over here. Ryan is a young man in his 20s. He was a football hero at Danville for the Admirals when they had a championship team. Now, Ryan will not lie to you. He will tell you that, and he's a young man, he knows about cars and he knows what people are repairing cars in this community. And he tells me, and he lives right behind him. So he tells me Mr. Denham is repairing and restoring cars. He sees him do it right now out of his garage. His garage is under his house. Now, Mr. Denham wants to move that operation to this 28-foot by 40-foot building. And I've been told by somebody in the office of in Danville City Hall that he will not be able to get that building permit. If that's true, what are we doing here? What are we wasting our time for? What are we wasting Mr. Dimmer's time and money for? If he can't build it, Why are we even discussing this matter? We should shut it down right now. We're going to save Mr. Denham a lot of time and money that he will waste trying to get a building permit, which he won't be able to get. Second violation that is currently on, by the way, no business license. He hasn't even applied for it. He hasn't even applied for a building permit. So that's a violation. And number two, if you will look up Chapter 8 of the city ordinances, Chapter 8 is called nuisances. And I'm talking to a lawyer here. So you read down there, and it says, even it discusses even the fact that a person has a hobby of collecting cars. Even if the person has a hobby of collecting cars, he must, it says, keep his cars out of the public view. I live a half a block away. I count the cars every day. There's at least 4. On the weekends, 6 to 8. Mr. Leishman has counted up to 8. And I already told you about Ryan knows that he's building cars or repairing cars there. So that's another violation. And it's even that code, read the code. It will say, if you're even collecting cars, keep the cars out of public view. And it even tells you how to do it. It says by a fence or vegetation or shrubbery. He has neither. Now, I assume why he wants to move the cars over to this building is to get them out of public view. I assume that's one of his objectives. And by the way, the inspector, Mr. Young, has been to his house 2 times to warn him. And the only thing he's done, he used to keep the cars just everywhere in the front yard. By Mr. Young's visit, he's now lined up his cars bumper to bumper in front of his garage. But I can still see them. They're still in public view. So if that ordinance applies, and it should apply, then that's the second violation. And Mr. Leachman has already told you about the planned violation, which is building a building which is too big for that lot. And it's almost as big as a house. I understand it has more square footage than the house, and Mr. Leachman has already told you there would be another violation of the code of ordinances. So if you don't mind, sir, cite the man.
Sir, it's up
Okay,
to
thank you.
that office to decide what's in violation and what isn't. Thank you.
I would like to comment to what he said. One of the things is that we are actually here trying to go on facts and whether he has license to do what, if he's running the business or whatever, I think that's all hearsay. That's your word against his. But the fact of it, I keep hearing everybody say is that it's the scenery that you don't want to see the cars out in the yard. And he's trying to take care of that problem by putting his cars in a garage. So I think that's what we are here to determine whether, and he's trying to meet the right measurements of what has been offered. So I think he's trying to take care of the sore eye that both of you gentlemen keep complaining about him having the cars out in the yard. So that garage would take care of all of that.
Anybody else like to talk in opposition? Hang on a second. Anybody else to talk in opposition? I've already asked for people in support. I will give you the opportunity to speak, though, so please come forward.
My name's Daniel Morin. I live across the street from Will, and I've lived there. I've known him ever since he was born. One of the cars in his driveway has been mine at times because I'll go over there and sometimes he'll help me with my car and we'll look at things about it. And so, that's might be one of the cars they see there once in a while. But I've been around him. I've seen, he has friends come over and they do talk about cars, work on them some and everything, but it's not a business. And I don't think he has any plans of a business whatsoever. And he's told me several times that no, there's no plan to be a business there. And he's told me also that the whole reason to build the garage is because he's had some complaints about cars being outside, and he's trying to put them out of sight. And that's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Any questions from anybody from anything that we've discussed thus far? Anybody like to make a motion for or against this?
I will move approval of the request for the 20-foot variance from the front yard setback. We have not heard sufficient testimony that the requested variance infringes on the rights or of the neighbors or the value of the neighborhood.
Anybody second that?
I'll second the motion.
Henry?
I think that's a good justification. I would just add that the creek across causes a natural reason for this variance.
Yes, absolutely.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Sorry, guys. All right. Last item on our agenda for public hearings is Lisa and Jonathan Cole have filed an appeal of complaint 1172.
Lisa and Jonathan Cole have filed an appeal of complaint number 1172 as notice to their son Ramsey Cole on September 30th, 2024 as a lessee of 143 Rose Street, Danville. The property is zoned two-family residential RM2. So again, here's the property here, 143 Rose Street. You can see it's right across from, one of the academic buildings for Center College. This is Lexington Ave here. And again, it's zoned RM2. It's across the street from ICD, part of Center's campus. Henry's going to go through the rest of this, so I'm just showing you where the property is, but this is going to be Henry's.
Mr. Chair, I'm actually going to turn this over to Ms. Cole. This is kind of the rare application for us where the applicant is the one who handles everything. The decision after you've heard from the applicant and then from me is whether your director had evidence to go on in making the decision that's being appealed, whether it was arbitrary. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Cole.
Hello?
Good evening, hello. Thank you all for giving us time on the agenda tonight.
If you, yes, step in front of the microphone and just give your name and that your testimony is truthful.
Okay, yes, I'm Lisa Cole, and as Mr. Smith said, I am the mother of Ramsey Cole, who is one of the young men that live at 143 Rose Street. Davis Wilms is also here tonight, and he lives at 143 Rose Street. We've got the landlord here as well, Michaela Warren, is also here tonight. We did file an appeal of this notice that the young men should be evicted, that no more than 3 of them should be living in the house. The information that we've discovered is there are students at Center College who, as Ms. Gary pointed out to you, are parking on Rose Street to get to the campus. Now, there is a fence along Rose Street, and, I don't even think this is something that I would have done in college, but those students were rolling under the fence. They found it easier to park on Rose Street than to look around for parking on Center's campus. We have been in constant contact with Center ever since we received this notice that some of the young men needed to move out within 7 days. And quite frankly, that's why we appealed, is because it was short notice. They were in the middle of midterms, in the middle of the semester, and it would have been an extreme hardship for them to try to find somewhere else to live. Center is very fortunate that they have increased enrollment this year, really more than they've ever had. And so these young men were given special dispensation to live off of campus. Center grants that very sparingly, and they take into consideration who the young men are. They are seniors. They will be graduating in May. They all make great grades. They are all members of the men's championship, I'll say go Colonels, lacrosse team. And, you know, Center, because of their record on campus, granted them dispensation to live off of campus. We've been in contact with Center, like I said, since we received this notice. They have put up a barrier now under the fence. But quite frankly, we talked to the higher administration yesterday on this very issue again, because I believe some of the Center students are still parking on Rose Street, and they should not be, because it's clearly marked that only residents should park on that street. And Center said that I could relay that they are more than happy to continue to press their campus security to police this area. They're happy to work with the city in any way that they can to make sure that the students who are parking on Rose Street that do not live there, that stops. And they will support anything that the city would like for them to do in that regard. Our simple request would be that because the school year will end before we know it in May, that our young men be allowed to finish out the year. They only get about a 10-day break in between fall semester and spring semester. And they have to come back to campus and start academics immediately, and then they move into their lacrosse season. And quite frankly, there are very few free hours in the day for them at that point. And again, they have nowhere to go were they not be allowed to finish out their lease. Now, as I said, the landlord's representative is here, but she has vowed that she will make sure that, you know, they follow anything that you all prescribe. She would just also request, and she can speak for herself, but that these young men be allowed to finish out their lease and live in this house until the year ends.
Any questions?
I got a question. You said there's only 2 people that's occupied in that house?
No, sir, they're the two that are here.
Okay.
They're the two that are here, yes, sir.
I'm very familiar with that area. My parents live on Macmillan, and
Sure.
if you come off of Main Street, you turn on Fifth Street, and you go that way.
Yes.
I have been down there where there's like cars, you can't hardly get down through there.
Yes.
So my question would be, has the city been noticed about that? Why didn't the city kind of put like no parking signs on one side of it?
Well, I drove by there before we came to the hearing, and there are, and the boys can speak to this perhaps better, but there are signs that say parking is prohibited except for residents of this street. So there are signs. Those students are just, for whatever reason, finding it easier to park on Row and then either hop the fence or crawl under the fence to get to that dorm area.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as bad if they parked on one side, but there's cars on both sides of the road.
I know, but those cars, and again, I drove by there, I did not recognize any of those cars except for one that was one of our boys that just happened to be parked there. Normally, there's plenty of room for these boys to park in the driveway and in the garage. So those random cars, I mean, they change all the time, I'm sure. But my point would be that if we, if the boys move out, that's still not going to solve the problem that really brought this to the forefront. Yes, Ramsey?
So I obviously am a resident of the house, and often there are, like you said.
State your name first.
Ramsey Cole. And last week, one of my friends, Noah Malubai, was at home, and a city policeman came to the door and knocked on the door and asked what all the cars were, because they're, if you drive by it after this, there's a big congestion. I had trouble getting my truck through this morning. And asked what all these cars were. We personally have 5 cars. We have a garage, we have a 2-car driveway, and our lot is big, so we can easily put our cars, as many of our neighbors have their cars parked on the street. And the side that center cars are parked on are, if you look closest to the residential building, right there where that little strip is on that turn, that is where they're parked. So I will say that last week, a city employee was notified that many of the cars were not ours. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
My question is, how many people are living in the building?
There are-
We heard testimony, there are 5 vehicles.
Yes, there are 5 vehicles. There are 6 boys that are living there. It's a
Six.
6-bedroom house, 4 bathrooms, 3 stories. It's a large dwelling, so it's not like those boys are crammed in there at all.
Henry?
Was there a question, or were you turning to me? I was
Sorry.
sidebarring with Michaela. Is it,
Didn't know if you had something to add to that.
I'd like to just give a brief presentation on this,
If,
if Ms. Cole has finished her.
yeah, if they have finished with what they have to say? Yes. All right, thank you.
It sounds like parking is an issue. That may well have been what led to the underlying complaint in this case, but the question today is about occupancy. I didn't hear Ms. Cole saying that the violation letter was incorrect. We'll speak briefly to Ms. Cole's requests for the board today, but I want to make sure we just address what's in the findings that have been handed out to you today. Sure. And so I'm just going to ask a few questions of Ms. Gary. How did this property come to the office's attention?
We received a complaint, basically that there were more than 3 people living at 143 Rose Street, and I think it came about because of the number of cars parked on the street. I think at the time, the understanding was that those were the tenants' cars parked on the street. It turns out that was not the case, but yeah, when we looked into it, we did find that there were more than 3 tenants on the residence, so.
And what type of residential uses are permitted in the RM2 zone where this house is?
Yeah, in the RM2 zone, we allow single-family residential, duplexes, and twin homes. This home happens to be a single-family home, so 1 dwelling unit, so it would allow for 3 unrelated individuals per unit. If it were converted to a duplex or a twin home, then that would obviously be 3 per each unit. But
Am I remembering correctly that RM2 allows for multifamily residential setups as well?
just twin homes and duplexes.
Just that, okay. And this is not a twin home or a duplex because, why is that?
It just has 1 kitchen, 1 independent sleeping area, and bathroom. That's basically what you need all 3 to be part of a dwelling unit, and they've only got, 1 dwelling unit.
And
That's there.
is there a use category that matches 3, 4, 5, 4 to 6 unrelated people living together? Is there a use category for that?
Yeah, we would, if you go over the 3 unrelated individuals, which is one of the components when you look at family or housekeeping, I did put this up on the screen so people can review it, but we've got, definitions for household living, as well as family. So really the trigger for this one is for part of the definitions of family, where it's 3 unrelated people. But I'm sorry, Henry, can you repeat the question? I lost my train of thought.
Would group living be permitted in another zone?
Yeah, so group living is not a permitted use within the RM2 zoning district. So if you're not meeting these definitions of household living or household or family, then you're basically bumped up to the group living facility. And again, that's not permitted in the RM2 zoning district, which is what this property is zoned.
Thank you. I think we've covered the nature of the violation and the appeal. I wanted to give you a chance to offer any guidance that you have for the board in conditions they might consider and how they decide today.
Yeah, I think it is within the board's purview to come up with a compliance timeline that you all feel appropriate. Obviously, with the boys being students at Center College, I certainly think that should be taken into consideration, especially when the reason for the violation was the concern of the parking areas, and as we've discussed today, that wasn't something that was actually, done by the tenants that are living at the house. So I would urge the board to consider an appropriate timeline for compliance. I think that should be decided by you all rather than me. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I'd be comfortable with you all deciding whether you feel comfortable with them living there until May, and then the property would have to come into compliance after that. So.
You all have findings before you. We can add language about whatever decision you might have about a timeline, but that's what I have, Mr. Chair.
And what was the zoning that would allow for more than 3 unrelated people?
So ICD is one of them, which is what Musta Center is zoned. That's why you see some of their other houses and things that they've got that are technically part of their zoning district that have more than the 3 unrelated. But yeah, it's mostly our commercial districts, some of our higher density residential, it's a conditional use, but in the RM2, it's not permitted or conditional. So, and they'd either have to go through a zone change or have to add a second unit on the property to be able to do the 6 tenants as they're showing now, but.
Right, modify the house as a duplex, if you will.
Yeah. It's just, what's a reasonable timeline to do that? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so the property owner moving forward would just need to be aware of that.
Yes, I've spoken with the landlord, and I think it would be great if she would be willing to speak tonight too, but she does not have a lease set up for the next school year, and, she's well aware that moving forward, it's going to have to be capped at the 3 unrelated people if they keep it as a single-family unit, and I think they've agreed to do that moving forward.
Yeah, I'm Michaela Warren. I'm the property manager. So I have been in contact with the landlord, and I've told him this whole situation, which we're not from this area, obviously, so we didn't know about all this. And he's more than willing. We're not doing this starting next year, and we're going to figure out something else we can do that will apply to the ordinances that you all have. So this won't happen again next year.
Thank you.
We would just be very thankful if you guys let these boys finish out their senior year, since they already have had it planned, so that's why we wanted to appeal this, so we could talk about it.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Is that for the remainder of the school year or just the remainder of this year, 2024?
No, sorry.
So
Thank you, Jason.
the remainder of the school year would be approximately June 1st. give
The
or take.
remainder of the school year, I'm not sure exactly what date it ends, but I'm sure it's at the end of May of 2025.
Any other questions for,
No, Henry, I think the issue before us, the immediate issue, is to affirm or refute the action by Ms. Gary.
That's correct.
To
So
affirm or refute this appeal.
you could, yes. So I would encourage you to deny the appeal with guidance about the timeline. If you were to affirm the appeal, you would be finding that the violation was incorrect, that there was no violation of the ordinance. So I would encourage you to deny the appeal.
we can deny the appeal with conditions,
Right.
basically.
Ready for a motion?
I move to deny the appeal.
Yes, sir, you are more than welcome to get up and speak.
My name is Thomas Riley. I own 3 properties down in the area, the one right next to it, 139 Rose Street. I also own one on McMillan and also on Louis Street. I have no idea how many people live in that house, but it wasn't zoned for what it is right now. It wasn't zoned for multi-use people. You can't have 5 or 6 people living in a house, but it is. The parking down there is unreal. You cannot get through that street at all. I have to come down Louis Street, come down on 5th Street, go in, then I have to turn around and go back down 5th Street in order to go to the other 2 pieces of property in that location. If they were gonna be out in December, it'd be a great situation. You could stop it in December, and they can find another place on college campus the following semester, and go ahead and have everything else good. But right now, the parking down there and the code violation that they are in process of doing is not good. Not good at all. And reject it, they just need to move out, get it back where it needs to be, single-family homes in that area, and be done with it. I bought property down there since '01, I know what it's been, and right now, you cannot get in and out through there. And if Center College is not gonna take care of the parking, And if they've got 5 or 6 cars over there, when they park on both sides or one side, I'm down there quite often. And it's a mess. So something has to be done. Okay?
Thanks, sir. Any questions? Thank you much.
Okay?
Discussion?
Well, you have a motion to
I
to
made a
deny
I
the
make a
appeal.
motion to affirm the hearing.
And
Affirm the finding of a violation.
do you have any conditions on,
What's your discussion? I think this has been the initial finding came in September the 30th. So this is not, that was shortly after the beginning of the semester. This is something that evidently has been going on for some time. I can see giving time through the end of this semester, but the end of the school year seems an unreasonable imposition on the neighborhood.
I kind of agree with that, but I don't see, I'm down there just about every day. Like I said, I was raised down there. My parents still live there. My parents actually live by one of the houses he owns. My thing is, whether we go along with this and make these people move before the school year or before they graduate, whatever, I don't see that solving the problem. I don't think the problem is it might not be what the regulations are as far as people living in the house, but the problem is the parking on the streets. And I don't think that's their problem. I think that's the city's problem or Seneca College's problem. So whether they there or not, those cars are still going to be on the street and you're still not going to be able to get by. That's the only issue I have.
But those are two separate issues.
yeah, absolutely. All right, we have a motion on the floor to deny their appeal with the condition that they.
With the condition to vacate by the end of the academic year, whatever makes sense. Academic year, I guess.
Academic year.
No, I mean the semester. The semester, fall term.
And Preston, do you incorporate the findings that were distributed?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Does that sound?
Could you explain what semester of the year, when's the semester of the year end?
It'd be the end of this calendar year.
Fall semester.
Yeah.
Fall semester.
So that's not to graduation?
Correct.
No.
Correct, it's not. It's December, the December term. I don't know what the last date of finals is. It's probably something like the 15th or so.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be an extreme imposition, for these young men to have to try to find a place to move. Not only that, but studying for finals. Not to mention traveling home. I'm not sure where they're all from, but traveling home to see families over the holidays. I think a little grace should be added here to allow them to stay through at least the end of the school year, meaning approximately June 1st, give or take a few days. I don't know if anybody else around here has any rental property. I own quite a bit. Every one of them stay full, and I literally get calls daily for people searching for a place to go and live. So I don't think these folks are gonna have very much luck finding somewhere that is convenient to campus. And let's give them a break. I mean, they're young, they're doing well in school, they're academically sound. It seems like they've got their head on straight and also doing some sports and extracurricular activities. They seem like they're going to be leaders. I think a little grace is in order here.
The only problem is you don't live in that area. You're not down there on a regular basis. It is a mess down there. Something
I understand.
Sir,
And,
if you're going to, you'd have to come to the podium to address at this point.
For those who are down there on a regular basis, Thomas Riley again, it is a mess. End of semester would be a great situation. Center College has dorms, and they have other facilities. We don't know what's going to be available in January when they come back for the next semester. So they can have other places to go. We just need to get it back under control, and it needs to be over with by the end of this semester.
I think that, as we stated before, the situation is twofold. It's the number of people living in the house, and it's also
Yeah.
the street parking. which is a separate issue altogether. So we're dealing with the first part of that, not the latter at this
Okay.
point.
But,
It would be-
They're violating, okay, probably 3 families or 3 individual people.
It would be
Maybe up
an
to 5?
enforcement issue with law enforcement, basically, for the parking situation if people are parking there who aren't residents of Rose Street or McMillan. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I don't believe that issue is our issue.
It is not our issue, no. So,
Okay.
thanks, sir. Would you be willing to update your motion, or are you?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make the motion that we allow them to stay till after the school year.
We've got a motion on the floor right now. We either get a second or it will die, so. Do you retract your motion, or no? Okay. So we've got a motion on the floor to deny their appeal and be out by the end of this semester. Okay. And if that,
End of the year, say.
anybody second that motion? Having no seconds, that ceases to move forward. Anybody else want to make a motion at this time?
I would like to make a motion that we allow the young men to stay to the end of the school year.
So you are
After graduation, after they graduate.
denying their appeal?
Yes,
but
I'm denying
allowing
it.
them to remain to the end of the school term?
Yes, sir.
And incorporate my findings.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Willie. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Motion carries. As far as the parking is concerned, if there's people parking there that are not residents, I would just advise you to call the police and tell them about it and continue to do so and be a thorn in their side. I know it's posted, no parking other than residents there, because I live just up the street, and I've seen the sign, and I know how tight it is there. And I do feel for your situation there, but they're two separate issues. I'm not making light of your request. That takes care of the public hearings for this evening. Any old business beyond
None.
this to discuss?
None.
Any new business?
Nope.
Anybody willing to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All righty. Seconded by Mike. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.